there's Jake. I'm going to do just a short video talking about whether you should get a wrist strap or a shoulder strap. I'll talk about the pros and cons of each and then make my recommendation. So starting out, I've got a simple shoulder strap here. It's actually kind of a cool shoulder strap from Peak Design. You'll find the link in the description. And the shoulder strap is a great option. A lot of photographers really prefer it because you can wear it over one shoulder like this, and it's a nice minimalist solution where what you're bringing is as small as possible and your time to shoot is really, really fast. Now the drawbacks of using the shoulder strap approach are that it's extremely exposed. It's you have no padding or protection on the camera, and so when you're walking along you can potentially bump into something. You can, when you're done and you need to sit down, say you're at a cafe, you have nowhere to put it. You're not going to put it on the ground. You can put it somewhere, but something might spill on it. And when you're handing it off to someone else, if they're going to take a shot, you have to do this whole ordeal where you put it over their neck, and it's a little more complicated than using a wrist strap. It also gives you no storage for batteries, and if you're using a Sony A7 series camera, that's a big deal because your battery's going to run out pretty quick. So those are some of the trade-offs with the shoulder strap. Okay, so let's talk about the pros and cons of a wrist strap. So you got your camera and your wrist strap. Now that's obviously not enough, but if you have a little shoulder bag like this one from Case Logic, then you've got a really solid kit. If you put your camera into the little shoulder bag, suddenly that camera has a little bit of protection. And if it gets bumped when you're walking along, then you're going to be just fine. Or if you're at the cafe and you need to put the camera down, you can put it on a table or hang it over your chair and it'll be just fine. Or if you're taking off on vacation and you want to throw it in your backpack or even your checked bag, that's got a little bit of protection, so that makes a big difference. And one thing I really like to do with a bag like this is sometimes, just to really economize on bulk in my bag, I'll take the strap off and just use it as a little layer of protection around the camera. The other benefit of having a tiny shoulder bag like this is you've got room to actually stash a battery or two. So I've got a battery in there already, put a second one in, no problem. And it really doesn't add much to the bulk or the weight of your bag. And if you're shooting with something like a Sony A7, you probably know by now how important it is to have those extra batteries. So you can take something that used to be a real liability for your camera and make it no big deal. Now, the purists will say that the problem with this setup is it's not as fast and you'll miss that critical shot. But one thing is to find a bag where you can leave it open, and then it's really not much different. I didn't practice this or anything, but I know that I've had pretty good experience with just being able to pull it out pretty quickly and shoot. The other thing is, if you really don't want to miss the shot, it's probably not even enough to have it on your strap like this. You might just want to have it in your hand. If you're dealing with a lightweight camera like a Sony, then you're going to be just fine. And it's not a big deal to carry it in your hand for a bit longer. So that's just a quick take on the pros and cons of a shoulder strap versus a wrist strap in general. As you can probably tell, I personally prefer a wrist strap with a shoulder bag. And I'll show you the exact products that I personally recommend. Okay, so I've got here my personal kit that I walk around with the most. So what I'm using here is just the smallest shoulder bag that'll fit my Fantasy Perfect 2-lens kit. So I'd recommend you consider the same thing, or you might also have the smallest shoulder bag you can find for just a 1-lens kit. In my particular case, it's a Crumpler Pleasure Dome, which fits perfectly for a Sony A7 series camera with the Batis 85mm lens on it, and it has room for a 35mm lens and a bunch of extra batteries. I think I've got 4 extra batteries in here, which is definitely overkill. So this isn't going to be the fastest gun in the West situation for me. I just went to really pack it in as tightly as possible so that this little bag is small when I need to put it in my backpack, or when I bring it out with me and I want to hang it over a chair at the cafe. I don't want it to be a big bulky bag I'm dealing with, so this one has really been the sweet spot for me. And then for the wrist strap, I just love this wrist strap from Joby. It's a really sturdy, reliable feel, and one thing I really like about it is when you drop the bag or drop the camera, the strap doesn't pinch your hand. The other thing I really like about it is it's meant to be a solid permanent installation, meaning this isn't a quick release mechanism. You saw earlier in the video the Peak Design straps, which I really love, but I have to admit I have a little bit of a phobia of anything that's meant to be quickly detached. I never had an issue with the Peak Design, but for me, I don't mind having the strap be always attached, and because I'm not switching between different types of straps or doing any of the fancy things you can do with the Peak Design, I just decided I wanted to go with a permanent installation. And so I really highly recommend this Joby. It quickly slides, it's easy to put on someone else's wrists and feel really confident that if someone else is using your camera, it's not going anywhere as long as they've got that Joby strap attached. So that's my recommendation. I wish you the best of luck. If you found this video helpful, please do follow the links in the description. That'll help support my channel. Thanks very much.